Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to IMTS 2012, the premier manufacturing technology event in North America. Please welcome to the stage President of AMT, Doug Woods.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody, and I'd like to welcome you to IMTS 2012, the 29th edition of the manufacturing technology industry's premier event. As you've heard, I'm Doug Woods, President of AMT, Association for Manufacturing Technology. And I'd also like to welcome here this morning Jay Rogers from Local Motors, Wolfgang Peck from Deutsche Messe AG, and Acting Secretary of Commerce, Secretary Blank. As we open the doors today on the new IMTS 2012 edition, we'd like to open the doors also to innovation. You're about to see some of the world's most innovative technology from the manufacturing industry. These machines, processes, and products, concepts, weren't even thought possible just a few years ago. And as you walk around the show, you're going to see they're much more than possible. They're here in action, ready for consumers to buy and put into your facilities. They're making the industry more productive, more responsive, and able to touch off innovations throughout the rest of industry through all other manufacturing sectors. Industry professionals from around the world have joined us here this morning. We have over 116 countries from visitors, from 116 countries visiting us here today. And we've got over 1.2 million square feet of technology for visitors to see. And speaking of visitors, this show we have over 90,000 visitors so far enrolled and attending the show. So it's going to be one of our biggest shows since 2002, which is a great statement for where manufacturing technology is here today. As part of the exciting innovations that you'll see here this week, I want to make sure you spend some time taking a look at our Emerging Technology Center, which is right over here. We have 4 great technologies that we're premiering and showing. It'll be collaborative manufacturing, as well as additive manufacturing, MT Connect applications, and MT Insight. These are the technologies that are going to change the landscape of manufacturing, and you're really going to want to take a close look at these. In particular, spend some time taking a look at the collaborative manufacturing area. Jay Rogers and his crew from Local Motors have been doing some phenomenal things with the whole concept of collaborative manufacturing, and you're going to watch them in the next 6 days actually completely building a car right here on the show floor. Jay founded his company on the principle of collaborative manufacturing, and he's worked with the concept of bringing a community of engineers, designers, and car enthusiasts together in order to develop something like the Rally Fighter, which you're going to see unveiled here a little bit later this morning. You're able to see all of this and a lot more interesting and new technology in the ETC. But right now, I'd like to have Jay Rogers come up here and talk to you a little bit more about the fantastic things he's doing at Local Motors. Jay, come on up.
Thanks. Thanks, everybody. And a couple of notes before the show gets going today. The first thing I think is I get this tingle at the back of my brain when I'm on the cusp of something big. It often comes on the heels of great turmoil. And I think we all know the turmoil that we've been through in the last several years around the world in this recession. Marshall Field, he was a father of Chicago, and he moved to Chicago 156 years ago, at a time when the east of the United States was no longer big enough to hold America. He started with the change in his pocket, and in 12 years, he made the largest department store the world had ever known. Fast forwarding to look at the history of America, in the early part of the last century, we had a country that was based on geographic expansion, and it was enough to sustain our industry. In the later part of the century, the country turned to a focus on service, on entertainment, and on networking. Today, that world that we've inherited is more complex than ever before. We are networked to a degree we've never seen, and we also have 7 billion neighbors to share this world with. We seem more focused today on sustainability and efficient use of resources than ever before in the past, and this is a good thing. But what makes that so meaningful for the machine tool makers of the world is that it takes real tools to achieve this efficiency and sustainability. And it also takes talking to each other. It takes collaboration, the extent to which we have never seen before. So today is the era of the maker. The maker is today a smaller sized institution than we would have seen after the Great Depression. It is one with makers that have access to information, access to communication in a way that we and they have never experienced before. And that is the cusp we stand on today, much like Marshall Field stood on that cusp back in 1856 when he first moved to Chicago. And I know the question on everyone's mind is, what is next? We stand on the verge of 1.2 million square feet of space, all trying to define what is next. I represent one of those small blocks of space that is filling this amazing exhibition, and that's Local Motors. And you'll see it at the opening of the show where we're going to build one of our collaboratively designed cars. Today, our website is run by a small company that sits atop of a community of over 30,000 people around the world and 100,000 projects. Our most well-known project is the first open source car. It's called the Rally Fighter. You'll see it as we unveil it right there in the middle of the opening to the show. And it is comprised of 1,000 parts made from machine tools, many of which are on the show of this floor right here today. It starts with Photoshop and computer-aided design, and it moves through electrical discharge, machining, and water jet, and so many other capabilities. It's an open source car, but it is inspired from DIY roots. And this process is all about accelerating productivity in the manufacturing world. So over the next 4 days, surrounded by the pulse of this show, it is my promise to you that we will build that car in the way in which it happens on our factory floor every week with every customer that comes through. What we do today for you and over the next 4 days is not a show, and it is not an entertainment feature. It is how we live our business. I want to thank IMTS and AMT for making this vision a reality for all of you at the show, and I want to thank our 100,000 projects and 30,000 members of our community for making the first open source car possible to show to you today at the show. And with that, I will hand it back over to Doug, and we'll get going. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jay. It really is one of the coolest things. You've got to go over and take a look at what they're doing at Local Motors. They've been phenomenal in figuring out how to leverage manufacturing technology in a new spectrum. And that's where we're going with technology to see everything else around the show today. Great innovators. This morning, we're also very fortunate to have with us one of the most powerful advocates for American manufacturing and a leading voice for our industry within the Obama administration. Dr. Rebecca Blank is the acting U.S. Secretary of Commerce, which you may know is home to many important programs that help American manufacturers. Things such as the National Institute of Standards and Technology, specifically their manufacturing extension partnerships across the country, helping manufacturers everywhere in the United States. She's also co-chair of the White House Office on Manufacturing Policy. And in these roles, Dr. Blank has been traveling across the United States, meeting with manufacturers, trying to find out what are those things that we need in order to make our companies more competitive, more capable of competing around the world, and what we can do to strengthen and create jobs in the United States. The programs that she's been involved with, like the Advanced Manufacturing National Program Office, as well as the National Network for Manufacturing Innovation, show a real commitment to strengthening manufacturing in the United States. And so it's my pleasure to welcome this morning the Acting Secretary of Commerce, Dr. Rebecca Blank.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much, Doug. I am thrilled to be here to help open IMTS 2012. I know you're excited to get out onto the shop floor to get your hands on the latest technologies, machines, and inventions from around the world. So am I. I was a data nerd who went to MIT, and I'd say this exhibit shows that engineers and data nerds are actually cool today in America, so it's good to see you all. You're here because you've got questions to ask, deals to get done, and most importantly, jobs to create when you get back home with those new ideas and products. President Obama understands the need for job creation and has been committed to American manufacturing as central for that since day one. We know that manufacturing is making a comeback. It's been a bright spot in the US economy over the last 2 years. Here are a few facts. First, after a decade in which we lost 6 million manufacturing jobs, we've now added over 500,000 back just since January 2010. These are good-paying jobs that strengthen economic security for the middle class. Second, our manufacturing output is up 20% since 2009, with big growth in areas like cars and car parts. In no small measure, that's because we have a president who didn't shy away from tough decisions 2 years ago to save the auto industry and all the small and medium-sized businesses that are part of its supply chain. Third, manufacturing exports have increased in nearly all industry categories, jumping over 36% from 2009 to 2011. Last month, they hit their highest value ever. At the Commerce Department, we like to say that our goal is build it here and sell it everywhere. That's exactly what American manufacturers have been doing, and the Association for Manufacturing Technology has been helping them do that. We strongly support industry associations that keep America's manufacturing base competitive, and one way to do that is to help associations reach out to their members and empower them to export to fast-growing markets. So I'm pleased to tell all of you, the Commerce Department is giving the Association for Manufacturing Technology an award to establish a new office in Brazil that will help AMT members enter this market and sell their products to Brazil over the next 3 years. So congratulations to Doug and to AMT for that. No matter where you're from, and I know there are a lot of people here from all over the globe, everyone knows that a strong manufacturing base in America isn't just good news for the US economy, it's good news for the global economy. So the question is, how do we build on that momentum? How do we ensure that American manufacturing continues to lead in the decades ahead? And the answer, in a word, you know it when you look around here, is innovation. I don't need to tell you what you already know. America's ability to make things and our ability to innovate are very closely tied together. You'll be reminded of that as you walk around the shop floor and see places like the Emerging Technology Center right here. 70% of our private sector R&D is funded by manufacturing, and 70% of our manufacturers rely on patents and intellectual property protection to protect their innovative ideas. American manufacturers are making breakthroughs that keep us on that cutting edge, and America continues to be the place where entrepreneurs can tinker with new ideas, new processes, and new products that will change the world. Now, the problem is an awful lot of good ideas don't actually make it from the lab to the market. That's one reason why President Obama has called for the establishment of a national network for manufacturing innovation. This is the proposal to bring together research centers and universities with manufacturers to help speed the tech transfer process. I just announced the pilot institute for this in Youngstown, Ohio. That particular institute involves universities, businesses, and local tech transfer institutes throughout eastern Ohio, western Pennsylvania, and northern West Virginia. The coalition is going to focus on a field that's really hot here at IMTS, additive manufacturing. As you all know, 3D printing is changing the nature of how America makes things. Entrepreneurs are printing customized products, from custom-fit shoes to iPhone cases. Doctors are starting to print medical devices that can save lives. And our military is interested in exploring how to make parts as they need them, rather than having to stock thousands of unique pieces of equipment on remote bases or at sea. This pilot institute is going to be a place where researchers and entrepreneurs can work together to take risks, test prototypes, and yes, occasionally hit brick walls to get back up again and try again until they figure it out. And it's built on a smart model. Everyone has skin in the game, with a combined $70 million from federal and state governments and the manufacturing companies that stand to gain the most. President Obama is calling for $1 billion investment to create up to 15 of these institutes across the US in the years ahead. That's the kind of bold action we need to ensure that America's competitiveness and leadership in manufacturing remains strong in the years to come. Let me leave you with a quote. As you know, McCormick Place is named after a famous family that had a huge impact on Chicago. In the 1830s, Cyrus McCormick invented a farming machine, the horse-drawn reaper, that changed farming in America. He got a patent for it from the US Patent Office, which is part of the Department of Commerce. His invention doubled crop production. Like many of you, he was a true entrepreneur. He had to find both investors and then salespeople to put this new tool in the hands of farmers. His motto was one step at a time, the hardest step first. Over the past 3 years, American manufacturers, all of you here, have led the way. You have taken the first big, hard step to lead us out of a deep recession and pull us toward prosperity. So thank you for all that you have done and are doing to move this industry forward into the 21st century. Together, let's continue to create more jobs, more innovation, and more made-in-America products for the rest of the world to use. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Blank, and thank you not only for the award, which is going to be phenomenal for helping the members of AMT, the Association of Manufacturing Technology, help our members expand and export their products into new markets, but also thank you for your leadership at the Department of Commerce in helping manufacturing. There's been phenomenal programs and efforts put forth over the last several years helping us in manufacturing, and we really appreciate your leadership in that area. Now, before we get going, getting things started here, what I'd like to have is Mr. Wolfgang Peck from Deutsche Messe AG come up. Wolfgang is one of our partners here. He's Senior Vice President from Deutsche Messe AG. And many of you may or may not know that this is the first time at IMTS we've ever partnered with anybody else at the show. And we've chosen to partner this particular year, 2012, with Deutsche Messe with their industrial automation group. So IANA, Industrial Automation North America, is premiering here at IMTS over in the East Hall. And we're really fantastically pleased with all the efforts and the partnering with Deutsche Messe, and look forward to doing this many years again in the future. It's been fantastic. So Wolfgang, thank you as well. And let's officially open up this show. I think we get to take these. Big scissors. All right. Photo op. Cut from top down or bottom up?
Just how about over?
Over.
Over.
Okay. Hold.
On your command, Doug.
Okay. On three. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you very much. Enjoy the show. Okay.